What if the War of the Bar Confederation escalated? In our own timeline, the Kingdom of Poland and Grand Duchy of Lithuania were in a personal union ever since the marriage of Jadwiga of Poland and Jogaila of Lithuania. In 1569, the union was formalized with the Union of Lublin, creating the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. While initially a great power in the European continent, after the deluge in which Poland-Lithuania was raided by Sweden and Russia, it stopped being a great power. In the end, Poland-Lithuania lost Livonia to Sweden, Smolensk, and the right bank Ukraine to Russia, and a huge percentage of its population. In the following decades, the Commonwealth became increasingly dominated by Russia, with Russia picking its monarchs. In order to rid themselves of Russian oppression, the Bar Confederation was formed to oppose Russia. The seeming rise of Russia caused France, Austria, and the Ottomans to aid the Poles, with the Ottomans finding themselves at war with Russia. Austria, anxious about Russia, seriously considered joining the war on the side of the Bar Confederation and Ottoman Empire. Prussia, which would have been obligated to join such a war on the side of Russia because of a treaty they signed after the 7 Years' War, proposed to cool things down by letting all three of them annex a portion of Poland-Lithuania. Prussia took Royal Prussia, Austria took Galicia and Lodomeria, and Russia took the right bank of the Daugava and Dnipro. Soon enough, the three powers would partition Poland-Lithuania fully, and bearing a short-lived French client state, Poland would re-enter the map until the end of World War I. But even then its existence and sovereignty would be challenged until 1991, with Poland only now enjoying its independence. But what if that didn't happen? What if the War of the Bar Confederation escalated? I'll split this video into two scenarios. In the first, while Austria joins the war, Prussia ignores its treaty with Russia, leading to an Austro-Polish-Turkish victory. In the second scenario, Prussia does join, leading to a Russo-Prussian victory. In the first timeline, as Russia is seeing success in Poland and invading the Ottoman Empire, the Austrian Empire joins the war on the side of their former rival, who just less than a century ago was threatening their capital. Russia hoped that Prussia would enter the war, but Prussia would not, as after the 7 Years' War, Frederick the Great had no interest in another costly war. With Austria entering Galicia, the Bar Confederation rejoices and increases its activities. France would increase its support and Ottoman morale increases. The war would still be costly and take a few years, but in the end Russia would lose. Russian influence in Poland would be completely removed in Poland, but admittedly, Austrian influence begins to creep in. Stanislaw II August would obviously be overthrown, and a likely candidate for the Polish-Lithuanian crown could be Karol Stanislaw Radziwiłł, who would be crowned as Karol I Stanislaw, as he is a native acceptable for Austria. Austria itself would take Galicia and Lodomeria from Poland, but in exchange, Poland gets back Smolensk and the right bank Ukraine from Russia. Only Zaporizhia wouldn't go to Poland, as the condominium, along with the port of Azov, goes to the Ottoman Empire for their contributions. While certainly not guaranteed, there is a possibility for another attempt at a Polish-Lithuanian-Ruthenian Commonwealth. Russia would be extremely angered as it lost Poland-Lithuania, and Prussia proved itself an unreliable ally. Catherine's reputation but be damaged, and she would probably spend time looking inwards to secure her reign. The Russo-Turkish War of 1787 is probably also prevented, as Catherine would feel less confident and doesn't even have Austria as an ally. In 1789, the French Revolution still breaks out, and Poland would be an Austrian ally in the ensuing coalition wars. Austria and the rest of Europe would still not be able to take down revolutionary France and later Napoleon, especially since Russia might be less enthusiastic to support the coalition. France secures itself most of Europe after the Third and Fourth Coalition, and after those Russia could begin to reassert itself in Eastern Europe. Russia might not go after Sweden to get Finland, but instead after Poland-Lithuania, and doesn't just take back the territories it just lost, but also the east bank of the Daugava and Dnipro and even Ruthenia, resulting in it being Poland-Lithuania again. Against the Ottomans, Russia takes back Zaporizhia, and only now takes back Crimea. Napoleon would still inevitably lose the Napoleonic Wars, but with a shorter route to and back from Moscow, his campaign in Russia might be less devastating, and thus it might be more of a struggle to defeat him. In the Congress of Vienna, Russia would take Lithuania, leading to Poland-Lithuania becoming the Kingdom of Poland. Poland gets Galicia, but is officially an Austrian client, potentially under a Habsburg monarch. Considering a bigger Austrian sphere, both Prussia and Sardinia could be enlarged, with Prussia getting Royal Prussia and Saxony and Sardinia getting Parma and Modena. Both Sweden and the Ottomans are also in a better position, with Sweden owning much of the Nordics and the Ottomans still holding land up to Odessa. The Greek War of Independence still results in the independence of Greece and Russia taking Yeidasan. The 1848 revolutions would, however, break Austria, as Russia does not come down to help them, but rather to destroy them. Russia invades Poland and helps the Italians and Hungarians, and soon enough Austria falls. Hungary declares its independence, and Russia annexes Poland. Prussia and Russia made a deal, in which Prussia supports the Russian annexation of Poland, and Russia doesn't oppose the Erfurt Union and gives Prussia Posen. Without Austria present, Sardinia would also succeed in unifying Italy, excluding Rome. With that, the balance of power in Europe is completely destroyed, with a large Russia in the east and a united Germany, and it is to be seen how Europe develops from here. In the first timeline, Poland endures for another half a century, but would still fall to Russia eventually, while the collapse of Austria in 1848 gives birth to a Prussian-led German Empire. But that was only the first out of two timelines. In the second, Prussia joins the war on the side of Russia and invades Austria. Frederick was at this point aging, but still had it in him. Prussia still invades through Saxony and attacks Austria, and with Russia beginning to press them from the east, Austria would be forced to capitulate. After the war, Prussia annexes Saxony and portions of Silesia. From the Ottomans, Russia would still take the Crimean Khanate, as the Russo-Turkish War is probably unchanged from this. Next is Poland, where Russia and Prussia still partition them, but without Austria, and with both of them in exchange taking more, eventually leading to a partition only between the two of them. Prussia secures itself as more assertive, while Austria gets the message that Prussia can always intervene against Austria and come out victorious. Russia, meanwhile, is a more dominant force in Eastern Europe. But the Napoleonic Wars still break out. Prussia still loses the Fourth Coalition War, and Poland gets formed. Since Austria can't lose West Galicia and Tarnopol in the Fifth Coalition War, Napoleon might instead break off Bohemia. But in the end, Napoleon is still defeated, and the map of Europe is once again redrawn by the five great European powers. Compared to the other timeline, the Congress of Vienna would be more similar to our own timeline, but it too would have differences, namely with Prussia and Russia being the only two powers in Poland and Austria not present at all, and with Prussia already in control of all of Saxony instead of just the northern half. While not guaranteed, it is possible that Prussia gets all of northern Germany, maybe in exchange for getting less of Poland. In our own timeline, the United Kingdom proposed that Northern Europe goes to Prussia, and the German Confederation only contains the South so that Prussia can stand up to France and Russia, and considering that besides British-held Hanover, only few German states remain in the north, and with Russia stronger, it could be more appealing for the British. Since this is more unique and not something I ever talked about, I'll focus on it for this scenario. I could see the remaining South German states be integrated into Austria, giving them some much-needed Germans. The revolution of 1848 might not spread to Germany, but I could still see calls for the unification of the North and South and ones for liberalism. Unlike in the previous timeline, here Russia would support Austria against Hungarian rebels. The Crimean War still breaks out, and Austria still doesn't do anything to pay back Russia, leading to the defeat of the latter and isolation of the former. Austrian power in Italy could still get broken, and an Italian kingdom under Sardinia would still get formed. The German unification wars and Third War of Italian independence, however, might not happen. Prussia might at this point have no interest in unification, as Bavaria and Baden-Württemberg are seen as Austrian, especially if they are integrated. Expansion into Denmark would also get more great power opposition. And without Prussia, Italy won't be able to take Venetia. An Ostalike with Hungary might also be prevented, as the Germans are in a stronger position here. Without the French Empire falling, Russia might be less confident in striking the Ottoman Empire, leading to them holding the Balkans. I doubt anything like a world war would happen here, as the balance of power is mostly held, as the only changes since 1815 are Italian unification and Belgian and Greek independence. In this timeline, the balance of power of Europe between the five great powers would be preserved, and the peace after the Napoleonic Wars wouldn't end in 1914, but last much longer. In these timelines, the ensuing war would determine Eastern Europe just before the Napoleonic Wars, but both end with Russia controlling most of Poland even more than in our own timeline, and surprisingly a stronger Ottoman Empire then maintains its dominance in the Balkans. If you liked the episode, leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe. Goodbye.